Okay, it's time to talk Scream 6. I just saw it this past weekend. It was opening weekend. Overall, I enjoyed the film. I'd say quite a bit. I had some issues walking out of the theater in the same way I had issues with Part 5. But before I went to see Part 6, went through all of the films again except for the first one because I'm so familiar with that one, just to prepare, and I'm so glad I did because this movie references the Scream movies, the other Scream movies, way more than any other Scream movie ever has. In fact, there is. It's so funny because when I first saw the Scream movies, for the longest time, my favorite was always Part Two, and so I wanted to see two again, and that's one that I was like, wow, I'm so glad that I insisted on watching two again, because this movie is basically two, like Scream 2 2.0. They're referencing it as Stab 2, but basically, I mean, everything from the final act. The final act takes place in a theater. It's like the second one takes place in a theater. It's also set in college, like Scream 2 is. They up the ante a bit by increasing certain aspects of it. I guess I will just give spoilers. I don't know how else to do this, but instead of two killers, there's three killers, which is one of the things I like about this movie, is that this is the first of the franchise to breach the two killer barrier. And I've been waiting for that for the longest time, ever since I heard about Kevin Williamson's original intentions for Scream 3, which wound up being his show The Following, which was the cult aspect of multiple ghost faces, all under the control of Stu. Stu, the original character from, the original killer, one of the original killers from Scream 1. And instead of a mother killer in Scream 2, there's a father killer this time. Also, it brings back the classic motive of revenge, which Scream 2 was also unique in, because you can't really count 3, because Sidney's brother's revenge was killing his mother. This is a little bit different than that. Same thing with Scream 4, with Sidney's niece, or cousin, Sidney's cousin, wanting to take her place, wanting to be famous in her own right. Again, not revenge. Motivated for greatness. These killers, they want to be infamous. They want to be remembered. A lot of the time, that's the motive. They want to, whether it be Mickey, who wants to, who wants the whole trial, who wants the whole OJ thing to happen. Obviously, in Scream 1, they want to legitimately get away with it. But anyway, Debbie Salt is just pure revenge. She's out to seek vengeance for her son being killed by Sidney, in the same way that Dermot and his kids want vengeance for Sam killing Richie, his son, their brother. So the parallel is crazy. Plus, you have the scene, the traditional scene of the new Randy, who is Mindy, giving the monologue, which is so important. I've heard people say that they don't like that part of the movie, but it's so necessary in a Scream film. It's not even funny. So basically, the reason why this trope needs to be there is because every single Scream movie lists the rules. The rules are always different, because the first one's rules of a horror movie, the second one's rules of a sequel, the third one's rules of a trilogy, the fourth one is rules of a is it a remake? I think it's just like a modern film, but it's like a remake. They touch on like torture porn in the Saw movies and stuff, but I think it's just like, it's all about upping the ante. But I think it's mostly about remakes and just like what's big in the horror world. And I think there's like a parallel of Jill Roberts wanting to become Sidney, want to become the new Sidney, and want to recreate everything again. But and then 5, it's the rules of a requel, right? And then this one, it's the rules of a sequel to a requel. Again, Scream 2 all over again. It's like rules of a sequel, but not a sequel to an original, a sequel to a requel. So They throw everything she says, comes true for the most part, and that's the gist of this trope. So it's like the scene was like, okay, now everybody pay attention, because the answer is in this rant slash monologue, this TED talk, whatever you want to call it. The answers lie in here. So my ears perk up whenever this happens. Okay, they're telling us, they're giving us the rules here. They're giving us the hints. If we're going to solve this, we need to pay attention. It's one thing I like about the running for president here. The one thing I like about Radio Silence, them taking over these movies, and the dudes that write these movies, this new batch, is they actually want you to solve it. Some of the Scream movies, they're planting seeds, they're planting clues, but nowhere near the way that these movies do. Now, I would say that Scream 5 planted way too many, made it too obvious, because when you see that movie again, it's crazy. It's like they're shouting at you. They're shouting at you the entire time who the killer is. It's like they were like, listen, hey. There's almost like they're treating you stupid, or you'll feel like you're stupid by the end of it. Especially if you watch it again, you're going to feel real dumb, because you're like, wow, they literally were telling us this the whole time. So if you didn't guess it, then you're wondering why. And and I was hoping in this one, in Scream 6, that they would learn some of their lessons and not be as obvious. And they did. I think they did. And they threw in more red herrings, but proper red herrings, because there's one red herring that the Scream franchise always does, which is you just close up or pan over to a guy's face, one of the characters' faces, and they're looking like they're looking mean, like, and then the music swells up and it's like, oh, okay, that's a red herring. It's like, that's not really a red herring. He could have had something in his eye. He could have allergies. He could just be thinking of that time his dog died. Like, you don't know, but the music tells you, like, he could be, or she could be the killer. But a proper red herring is throwing in proper motivations, giving you an intellectual reason why someone could possibly be the killer, like a legit reason. And I think that they did that with like Kirby in this movie. When I thought it was a possibility that she could be the killer. I mean, you could make like a shallow argument of like she couldn't be the killer because why bring her back just to be the killer, and they wouldn't do that to the fans and stuff like that. But that's that aside, I think that her way of dealing with trauma could be now up to a point, because when this movie opened, I was very excited about this movie, because this has the best opening since the first film. It's compelling, it's shocking, it gives us something we've never seen before. It's so interesting, and it runs parallel with Sam, who is the final girl Dexter of this franchise. Like, it's the first final anyone that we've ever seen who has Dexter type qualities. That's what makes her interesting and compelling, and that's why she's important to this series. That's why if you take her out, her sister Tara would not be a strong enough character to lead this franchise. She's just not interesting enough. She's Sam's sister. She's the one Sam is trying to protect. She's not enough to carry the franchise. But Sam is the one who fucking stabs people like a fucking jackhammer, as it's been said. Sam is the one who enjoys stabbing people, and she's the hero. She's the heroine. This is the aspect that we haven't as blatantly seen before. This movie opens up, the introduction of her character is in a therapy session, very similar to Laurie Strode in Halloween 2, Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. So you're dealing with mental issues and trauma and something that might be going there, but you're dealing with it in a more interesting way. And not to say that the Laurie Strode in Halloween 2 isn't interesting. It's very interesting. It's very real. It's a very real and strong. It's just a powerful look into trauma, that film. And I think they did a great job. Rob Zombie and everybody did a great job with that aspect of that movie. But this is someone who's like, I have a darkness in me, and I'm worried. I'm worried that it's going to take me over. I'm worried about what it might mean. she has the line, which is a great line. She just says, "Look, I stabbed the fuck out of my ex-boyfriend. I slit his throat. I shot him in the head, and it felt kind of right." Like, she's not saying it bluntly, but she basically, what she means, because you could tell from her expression at the end of 5, is that I enjoyed this shit. This is good. This is for me. I liked it. Like, I'm not gonna go after somebody and stab them. Like, I'm not like Dexter in that way. I'm not a predator. I'm not gonna like follow serial killers home. But if they give me a reason, I'm gonna go to town. I'm gonna have it's just like, give me a reason. Please give me a reason to stab the shit out of you right now. And that's just like such an interesting hero to slash final girl to a series like this. And I liked her better in this movie than I did in the last one. Obviously, this movie is important because we need to get to know these characters, because it's hard to compete with 4 films versus this is only the 2nd film where we've known these people. And it's so important that we get to know these people and that we care about these people. But my cat's playing with her little ball thing. Well, see, one of the things that is different about this film, one of the things I initially didn't like, is that this is the first film that just doesn't really focus on film fandom. And it's also the first set of killers that aren't film fans. I mean, you could say Debbie Salt isn't, but Mickey is. You could say Joe Roberts isn't, but her buddy Kieran Culkin is. You know, and then you definitely can't say Roman isn't, because he's a director. And obviously the first 2 know a lot about horror movies and even reference lines from horror movies. And then you have Richie and his accomplice, and obviously they're film fans. So this is the first set of a group of killers. It's the most amount of killers, and they don't give a shit about movies. There's the line where they say, "Who cares about the movies?" or whatever, you know, whatever the line is. He's like, it's just like, fuck movies. I don't give a shit about this. This is not why I'm doing this. You guys, you know, and it's an interesting character too, because he obviously helps his son Richie acquire all of the evidence, and he supports his desire to be a filmmaker. You know, we get to see all his little short films at the end, little glimpses of his fan films, trying to remake the Stab films. And so he's a supportive dad. But does he get it? No. I think he'd much rather have a taste of the real thing. And maybe he doesn't understand all this play acting. And it doesn't seem like Ethan or Quinn, his brother and sister, have any interest in movies either, really. So that's an interesting aspect to this this film, because it also catches you off guard, because you don't know what's going to happen when you feel that. It's like, okay, then if you don't give a shit about the movies, then why are you doing this? It's like unfamiliar territory, and it gives you that uneasy feeling of not knowing where this is going. And I think that helps with the suspense. I think it definitely increases and explains the brutality of the film and why it's more brutal. It's that revenge aspect, but also the fact that the motivation is revenge, but also just to kill. And I will touch on one thing. So everybody across the board was great. I like the performances. I like the music. I heard a few people say that they didn't implement the city enough. Well, the reason for that is because they didn't shoot it in New York. They shot it in Montreal. But they do have like some classic sets. They have city, not sets, but locations, like a city street, random alley, bodega, big classy restaurant. Certain sets, certain settings that you wouldn't normally see in a Scream movie. So they try, but is it a bit of is it a bit lame that they leaned into the marketing of the New York? Yes. Why? Is because and they actually reference Jason Takes Manhattan by naming one of the first killers Jason and having him watch Manhattan on the TV before he's dispatched with or he's killed, right? So they're like, yeah, New York, yeah, Jason Takes Manhattan. But one of the cool things that Manhattan did was it actually it had a scene in Times Square. Now, granted, it's very hard to do to shut down Times Square or to shoot around there. Could they have pulled it off? Maybe. I don't know. Probably, right? I don't know. Should they have tried? Yeah. I hope they did. I hope they tried, because one scene, because that's the thing about the Jason Takes Manhattan. Everyone says like that movie sucks until they get to New York, but when they do, it's so awesome. They wish that was the whole movie. It can't be the whole movie because it's very hard to shoot there. But if Jason Takes Manhattan could have done it, I understand. Then why not Scream 6? I understand this is like pre 9/11. This is pre-pandemic. All of that. But not that 9/11 has anything to do with shooting in New York. In that way. I know people still do it. So I really don't understand why they couldn't have just shot for a few hours there a day. I don't know. Because that's the thing. You just shoot. It's just the one shot, basically, of Jason walking down, in Times Square, just like, it's an iconic shot. And if they could have gotten something like that, especially since they already said it during Halloween, and just have like a bunch of ghost faces in Times Square, why couldn't they have gotten that shot? I really think that people wouldn't be complaining if they got that shot, and I wish they would have. So I like that. I like the implementation of New York. I wish they would have gone a little bit farther. Talking about because I was talking about the performances. Dermot Mulroney. This is not my favorite performance of his. I'm a fan of his. I like him in everything from Trigger Effect to I loved him in Copycat and the original Young Guns. I think that's probably the closest thing he ever played to a bad guy, with the exception of that. I think it was a Father's Day episode of Into the Dark, the Hulu Blumhouse movie series, where he played a psycho. But it's not his wheelhouse, and that's okay. That's okay. And what he's doing with his gruff voice and stuff in this movie, I'm not sure. And he acts batshit crazy in his own unique way. It is very over the top. It's supposed to be over the top, but I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm so used to Dermot Mulroney doing other things. I don't know. I don't know why, but I feel like that's another one of those things where when I see this movie again, I'm gonna be okay with it. Walking out there, I gotta be honest, it was one of the weak points for me. It was just like some of the faces and the line deliveries he was giving. I don't know. I didn't really. It wasn't my favorite. But I gotta tell you, it all goes away if what I think is going to happen in Scream 8 comes true. Now, what I think is going to happen in Scream 8 is this, right? So you have the requel where the killer is Richie and his girlfriend, right? Now, granted, we don't. Now, remember, we don't know anything about what's going on until they tell us. Like, we didn't know about the Roman stuff until Scream 3, when they threw that shit at us. So, what I think is going to happen is, so 3, going by the rules that they're doing, they're basically remaking the Scream films. By the first one ending at the house, like Scream 1 did, the second one ending at the theater, like this one did, right? So, the next one then has to be the sequel of a requel, or the completion of a requel trilogy, right? A new trilogy. So something is so what's the rule? What's the rule in 3, right? Remember, Scream 3. The rules of a trilogy. Okay, something comes up, some information that you thought was true, but you found out that it wasn't true. Something that you thought you knew changes in some way. Somebody, perhaps, that you didn't think was a character becomes a character, like a lost brother. Somebody who you thought killed somebody else, it wasn't them at all. It was this other person. A lie has been told, and I believe that lie. Now, I know this is cliche by now, and this is tired internet theory shit. But I think it's being set up that Stu is coming back, and here's why. So, Scream 5, right? It ends like Scream 1. Scream 6 ends like Scream 2. So, what I think is going to happen is a director-type character is coming into the third, which is Scream 7, in Stu. a director type character in the form of a cult leader. So, and the reason I really believe that this is the way it's gonna happen now is because the three killers in this one, three killers, the most we've ever seen, are connected to Richie. And we don't have all the information as to how. So I actually believe that Richie and his girlfriend knew Bailey and Quinn and Ethan, that they are all members of a cult, and that it will come out that Scream 5 was orchestrated by Stu, and that Scream 6 is a bit of a subset, like a bit of a Stu giving like, go revenge your son, go avenge the member of our cult who we cared for deeply. I think it goes deeper than just Richie making fan films. I think that this is a cult of people who are all worshiping the Stab movies and what happened in the first Scream, all at the control of Stu. And I think what proves it is also the line that they threw in, that's if you believe that he's dead. That line that I believe Mindy says. So that shows that in this universe there is doubt that whether Stu is dead or alive, they don't know. Apparently, they don't know. Why don't they know? I don't know. That's the information that's going to come into 3. That's that reveal, that reality shift. Like in 3, when you found out there was a period where Maureen Prescott went to Hollywood to become a star, and she was abused and traumatized, which set forth a chain reaction of where her life would go, and then where Sidney Prescott's life would go. That he implanted the idea of murder into Billy Loomis's head. Gave him the idea. And you remember the line that he says in Scream 3. I had no idea they were going to make their own movie, he says. Like, he implants it and he kills his mother. He didn't know that Billy Loomis and Stu were going to go as far as they did. So he was a mentor to them. Billy Loomis is dead. So Stu and Billy were already a member of a cult, and Roman was the leader, basically. There's a way of looking at it like that. I think they're going to go further in this one, and they're going to say, no, Stu is a literal member of a cult. Now, the only thing I don't know is how far back they're going to go. I don't think they're going to go and try to implement, like, 4, like Jill Roberts was also a member of this cult. I don't think they're going to do that. I think it's just going to be 5, 6, and 7. And by throwing in that little line that he might not be dead, and also not knowing everything, there's still some holes we don't understand. It's like, okay, I get it, revenge for Richie, but why all 3 of you, and why are you all nutballs? You know what I mean? Why are you whacked out of your gourds here, guys? What's going on here? Why are you whacked out of your gourds? I'll tell you why. Why are you so good at being Two-Faces? Because you're fucking crazy cult members. That's why. And this is all going to come out in 7. And that's also the success of 6, yes, but they're also rushing 7. See, there's a way of looking at this, because they just said that they're going to be shooting 7 real soon, and 7 might come out next year. And the reason I think for this is, cash grab, okay, but this fucking trilogy, this new trilogy, has been planned from the beginning. They're not saying it, but it has been planned. Seeds have been planted. And then by the end, 7, Sidney's going to come back, obviously, because it's going to be Stu as the main bad guy, but it's not going to be just Stu. You thought 3 was a lot of killers. There's going to be a lot of killers in the next one. And then you're going to have Sam, the daughter of Billy Loomis, Stu's ex-partner in crime. And the stakes are going to be huge. And the connections are going to be the craziest and most complex we've ever seen. And I feel so confident that this is going to happen. It's not even funny. I feel like all you have to do is watch these movies and you see it. The third one has to be a mirror of Scream 3 in some way. Because the first 2 has. It just makes sense. There's a pattern here. And I didn't know what I was going to get this time around. I thought that it was going to be a comment on some other form of, I thought it was going to be like a comment on Broadway or something. I didn't know. It was in fucking New York. Stab the musical shit. I thought it was going to be dealing with stuff like that. But then when I got this, it all became clear to me on what's going on. I think that I don't know. I can't wait to see what happens. And I think it's easy to see this movie as like, this is it. This is what we get. It's just, by the end, it's just revenge. It's just these three schmoes, like, out for revenge. Like, these people don't matter. Whereas, like, you show us a shrine of everything that's ever happened in any Scream movie, any stab movie, whatever. All of the killer masks, and it's just the cop and his two crazy kids. That's it. That's what you give us. You give us a connection to 5. We wanted a connection to the whole series. We wanted it to be bigger. We wanted it to mean more. And this is it. This is what you give us. But by 7, you're going to get it. And then by 7, you're going to see a big picture. And it's all going to be... 5's going to play better. 6 is going to play better. And the franchise as a whole is going to go down as potentially the greatest horror franchise of all time because of its consistency. It's going to, by the end, it's going to feel like the whole damn thing was planned from the get-go, even though it wasn't. And I really do believe that. At the very least, 5 through 7. I feel confident 5 through 7 are going to feel... It's going to be like how everyone thought the new Halloween trilogy was going to be. Which some people could still say it is. It is that. But this is going to be that. What their intentions were. And I didn't even hate Halloween Ends aspects of it, or kills or anything. I think that they are what they are, but it's obvious when you watch that trilogy that that they botched it a bit. I don't think this trilogy is going to play that way. And I think 7 is the stitch that's gonna, that's gonna make it all, because I don't have a word. There you go. So I'll go like this. All right. So anyway, I think that was a review. Was that a review? I talked long enough. The movie was good. I like the set pieces, the sequences. I didn't even talk about anything specific. The opening was great. I enjoyed the film. But yeah, I'll talk more on it probably when 7 comes out and I'm proven right. And then we can talk about one big trilogy story and how it mirrors the first, and how this is the first time that it's ever been done in this way. And I think it's going to go down in history because of that. And I can't wait. And I'm telling you, man, I'm going to watch this back next year whenever this movie comes out. I'm going to share this around. I'm just like, I knew, man. I'm the one who was saying... No, I'm kidding. But I'll probably will say that. All right, well, have a good one. Take care, and thanks for listening to me talk some shit for a half an hour. Bye.
Yeah.
There she is, Mrs. Wooty Cat. Oh, you don't like it?
No mountain, there's nowhere to belong here, Captain. I have washed ashore, like many have before.